Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Solitude with Soleil, where I share my thoughts with you in solitude, directly from my mind to the mic. I'm Soleil, and today we are diving into a topic that's both intricate and deeply personal. It's called accountability. When we hear the word accountability, it often conjures images of taking responsibility, owning up to our mistakes, and perhaps even facing consequences. But today, I want to offer a different perspective, one that's less about pointing fingers and more about understanding ourselves on a deeper level. So, what does accountability truly mean? To me, it means delving into our core wounds, recognizing unresolved patterns, and identifying the susceptibilities that might have led us to fall prey to certain situations. It's about understanding why we ended up where we did, not to blame ourselves, but to gain insight into how we can protect ourselves moving forward. Now, let's be clear. Accountability does not mean accepting responsibility for how others have treated us. Their behavior is their own. They are responsible for their actions, and you absolutely did not deserve any mistreatment you faced. The key here is to distinguish between understanding our own vulnerabilities but not accepting blame for someone else's choices. So, how do we protect ourselves from future mistreatment? It starts by identifying red flags. These are the warning signs that something just isn't right. They could be anything from subtle shifts in behavior to outright disrespect. When we learn to recognize these early on, it can help us to set boundaries and take the necessary safety steps. And identifying red flags is just the beginning. For many of us, we grew up in environments where some of these red flags feel familiar. We are used to volatility and chaos. And so when we're in familiar territory, some of these red flags don't immediately jump out in front of us. So be gracious to yourself, also remembering that hindsight provides 20/20 vision. Often, survivors are trapped in a state of confusion, paranoia, anxiety, and fear, which limits our cognitive functioning and our ability to make informed decisions. So, when you have left a dynamic, you're more able to look back and see red flags clearer than when you were in the situation, suffering from all the tactics that this person deployed to keep you trapped in the toxicity. Once you've recognized these red flags, it is essential to establish clear boundaries and take proactive steps to safeguard yourself. And you don't have to feel hurt, ashamed, or embarrassed for exposing how someone chose to hurt you. Because if they did not want you to tell your story, they wouldn't have mistreated you in the first place. Now, for some of us, it wasn't for a lack of boundaries and it wasn't for a lack of values and morals. Sometimes you can encounter people who are on the spectrum of people who blatantly disregard boundaries. This step that you can take is to completely remove yourself from them, to remove all contact from them and contact from people who support them and who also go back to them, feeding them information about you. This might mean also having to set limits and even distancing yourself entirely from people who continue to cross those boundaries. Remember, understanding core wounds and patterns isn't about self-blame. It's about self-awareness. It's about acknowledging what makes you vulnerable so you can strengthen your defenses and foster healthier experiences in your future dynamics. This self-awareness empowers you to navigate future interactions with a clearer sense of self-protection. For some of us, when you're already in the situation, you don't quite know how to get out. And so by also analyzing the patterns of your past, you can set out to establish a safety plan that you would do should you encounter someone like this again. Because regardless of how vigilant we may be, and after a situation like that, you're on guard, you never want to meet a person like this again. You are so vigilant toward red flags now. There are some people who can slither underneath that. They can trick you, they can up their manipulation, and they can come presenting as everything great. But from establishing the patterns and recognizing what the past experience showed us, we can now develop safety plans. Like, if this person is perfect and one day they change into this person, what will I do now in a situation such as this? In essence, accountability is about being honest with yourself, learning from your experiences, and taking actionable steps to ensure your well being. It's also a journey of self discovery that's not always easy, but it's incredibly rewarding. And there is a crucial step and the biggest hurdle that lots of survivors have to overcome, and that's the feeling of shame. You feel stupid. You feel weak. You feel, how could I have let this happen? What must people be saying about me? They must be saying, she's stupid. She's weak. She's a pushover. She's too nice. She allowed this to happen to her. And I want you to dim those voices and understand that a person saying this about you reflects them and their character development. A person on the outside who can judge a situation that they have not been in, who can blame a survivor for a situation that they have not been in, is not your community, and it's not the voice that I want for us to adapt. Shame is often the first thing that survivors are riddled with. We are ashamed of our defenses. We are ashamed of our reactions. We are ashamed of things we were coerced into. We are ashamed of not leaving sooner. We are ashamed of returning. Our entire core is filled with shame. We are ashamed of the mistakes that we made and how it must make us look. But remember that this situation is nothing but a stepping stone pointing you into the healthy and happy and fulfilling future that I know that you will have. So let's go back to recognizing red flags early on into the relationship. I want us to pay attention to patterns and behaviors that feel familiar, especially if they trigger memories of past experiences. No, it's not just because you had that past experience why you feel the way you do. That person is committing an action that is similar to that very experience, and it's also showing that person is not safe for you. Familiarity can sometimes be a sign that you're entering into a similar dynamic that you've experienced before. So by trusting your intuition and taking note of these warning signs that something isn't right, it can help you. Another important step and an area of accountability that I took very soon after I left a situation is identifying that I had isolated myself from support. Often, when we're in a difficult situation, we might not tell someone what's happening out of fear, out of embarrassment, out of guilt. You may have been talking to your friends or your family, and you may not have told them the real truth of what you were experiencing. And you feel this sense of, if I tell them now, they may judge me. They may be, why didn't you tell me this? You may feel ashamed and embarrassed of how much you had put up with. But isolation makes us more vulnerable and less likely to see the full picture. Because chances are a trusted friend can tell you this is not right, how they are treating you is not okay. And if a person is set on isolating you from people who want to support you, who want you to stay away from them, then that is a huge red flag that they want to take you away from the support of trusted friends, family, and support networks. So by sharing your experiences, the shame of you telling them what you experienced can also be a catalyst for you to finally leave. Because when you tell everyone what you've experienced with this person, and if any part of you, the trauma bonded part of you, the part of you that's still looking at the good times, the part of you that thinks they may change, the part of you that blames yourself for it, if any part of you returns to that shame of, I don't want to be seen with them again because I told all of these people how horribly he treated me. So if I'm seen with him again, what will they say? It's actually a catalyst that keeps you away from the person. So the more you tell what's happening, the more people can properly advise you on, this isn't okay. This is a red flag. That person is not okay. The other point of accountability is understanding and addressing your core childhood wounds. That's crucial. These wounds can actually shape our patterns and vulnerabilities. Maybe we were used to someone speaking to us a certain way. We were used to someone crossing our boundaries in a similar way. We were used to someone taking from us or placing us in a familiar role that you find yourself playing with another person. So by addressing these wounds and reflecting on how our early experiences can shape or influence our current relationships and behaviors, we're taking a powerful step in understanding that this isn't our fault, but our vulnerabilities can make us more susceptible to people as this. And healing these wounds can help you break free from unhealthy patterns and build stronger and healthier relationships. Be aware of what makes you more susceptible to mistreatment. Maybe recent trauma, financial instability, and loneliness. These can heighten your vulnerability. You can understand that recent trauma can put you in a place where your defenses are down, where you may be looking to someone for validation in a way that the trauma took from you. You are not showing up as your most empowered self. And so it's easy for a person who notices that to break you down. That person can exploit that level of vulnerability. Financial instability. You may become codependent on the person harming you. They may be providing food for you, shelter, clothing, and that keeps you also in the cycle of maltreatment. Also, loneliness. You may not have friends, you may not have family, you may be new to an area. These are all susceptibilities that can heighten your vulnerability. But understanding that the solution to loneliness is not a person who wants to exploit that through sexual gratification or through you becoming their slave. Loneliness can be solved by you going out in the daytime with your friends on the beach, a person taking you out in the daytime to eat and just talking to you. Once someone tries to solve your loneliness and your financial instability by offering to perform sexual favors on you or giving you something with the entitlement and exchange for you performing things for them, that is them exploiting your vulnerability. Someone who truly cares about you will offer to take you out to lunch. They will offer to invite you to a game day, a game night, but it will not involve them wanting sexual favors from you. So recognizing susceptibilities allows you to be more mindful of, potential red flags and take proactive steps to protect yourself. And finally, it's essential to strengthen your sense of self-worth. Remember, you were not weak. You were not stupid. You were tricked, groomed, and manipulated. But the fact that you're taking steps to understand and protect yourself is incredibly powerful. Recognize your strength in leaving a harmful situation and use this insight to reinforce your self-worth and resilience. In essence, accountability is about understanding and learning from your experiences, not to blame yourself, but to grow and protect yourself in the future. It's about recognizing patterns, reaching out for support, and healing from past wounds. I really hope that you could feel the grace in my voice. As I talked about this, I felt no shame. As a person who was riddled with toxic shame after leaving a particular situation, it's my aim that I channel the lessons I've learned to help someone in a similar situation as this, to channel the mistakes that people made when they were advising me, though some well-intentioned and some quite ignorant, to provide a sense of grace to people who have endured such a situation, because it's very re-traumatizing for you to have been blamed and for you to have been enslaved and you to have been trapped and tricked, to then be also doubly shamed by the outside world. But thank you for joining me today on Solitude with Soleil. I hope these steps will help you to navigate your path to self-awareness and empowerment. If you found this episode helpful, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this podcast. And as always, if you've had a situation and you want to share the steps you took in taking personal accountability for the wounds and the susceptibilities and the awareness that you came to from the situation, I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences on this topic as we grow and learn together. So drop a comment below or connect with me via social media. Until next time, stay introspective, stay empowered, and remember, your journey to self-understanding is powerful. Bye.